experience. So,
Okay. Understandable. Understandable. Right. Divya Lakshmi, 10 years of experience. You are attending from
Chennai.
Chennai. Great.
Yes.
Great to hear. How about others?
Hi Rahul, this is Anjana.
Hi, Anjana.
I have 6 years of experience in IT testing, after which I have taken a break of around 7 years. So
Okay.
I'm planning to rejoin the industry. So that's the reason I'm attending this course.
Great. Great to hear. That's a good motivational inspiration for people who have taken a career break. Nice to hear. Yes. Next.
Hi Rahul,
Hi, Anusha.
this is Anusha from Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. Oh, great.
Actually,
you-
I don't have. I'm as a fresher only because as I was in Abu Dhabi, I cannot start my career.
Oh,
So
okay.
after that, marriage and kids were there, and now again I was about to start. So that let's learn testing, I thought, and have joined the demo class.
Nice, nice. Good to hear. Good to hear.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Rahul, myself is Monica. I am attending from Canada. I worked in past as a manual tester. After that, I had a gap due to family's responsibilities. Now I want to restart my career as an automation tester, so that I'm joining.
Great to hear, Monica. Great to hear. Yes. How about others? Last three
Yeah,
people.
hi Rahul, this is Mahesh.
Hi, Mahesh.
I'm a performance tester having 5+ years of experience. So to explore further, I want to become a full stack tester. That was the reason I joined this program.
Great. Great to hear. Great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, hi Rahul. My name is Shiva. I'm from Toronto, and I have like 6 years of experience in testing. Yeah,
Great.
and I want to learn automation in full scope. Yeah.
Great. Great to know.
Hello, hi Rahul. This is Yogesh, and I joined from Maharashtra, Pune, and I'm having around 7 years of experience in manual, and yeah, I want to upskill myself in automation.
Great. Great. Last one more person before we jump into the actual one.
Hi, Rahul.
Yeah, hi. This is
Okay.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Gopi, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I'm joining from US. I have 10+ years experience in QA and project management. So now I want to lead a automation team. So I want to get into automation,
Great.
mostly on Java and Selenium.
Yeah, that's where the openings are.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, for the other remaining people, you can quickly drop in your intros by stating your name, whether you're from, if you're from IT, how many years of experience, and which part of the globe you are attending the session. Okay. So I'll not jump into the stories telling like what is testing and all, because I'm assuming that everyone knows what is testing methodologies and all. I'm not very much worried about it.
Okay. Actually, I'm a fresher.
Who is a fresher?
My name is Lokesh.
Okay, you're a fresher. So, okay. Since
I'm
you're
also fresher, Rahul.
okay, fine. Fine. For the people who are new, you can connect with me offline and we can clarify your doubts about any testing terminologies if you are unable to understand something in the class. That sounds fair.
Okay. Yeah.
And I request everyone to put their names instead of iPhone or something like that. I request everyone to put their names so that it's very easy for me to recognize. Okay. Now, the first question is why automation testing is important. Now we all came that we want to learn automation. That's fine. First of all, why automation testing has become of this much importance? Can anyone throw some light on this? Why automation testing has become such great importance now? Anyone can answer. It's okay. It's an open floor. Right or wrong is secondary for us. What matters to, yeah.
Because it's an open source.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
to handle multiple iterations or complex logics to reduce time.
One after the other, please. One after the other, please. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Automation reducing the time to compare to manual.
Murli, I lost you. I lost your voice. Can you repeat it?
Automation is reducing the time with compared to manual. So it is the important nowadays.
Okay, that's great. What else?
And it is
resource
cost
also
effective.
Hello, sir. In automation, we have to make the script in once time, and now after that, we have to run that script in many times. So it's the time saving. Or I think there is lots of tests. We can manage our time. We can run that script, and during that time, we can do other work.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. And also, Rahul, I think it's mostly the cost saving also. So once we write the script right, it's easy to do the regression testing. Execute the same test again and again.
Okay, that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
As we are following agile methodology, so for every new development, we need to go for the regression test, so for the repetition and to reduce the time and cost wise. So we are preferring the automation testing.
Okay, that's great.
It supports multiple web applications.
Multiple web applications. Could you make that point more clear? What do you mean by multiple web applications?
Means we can it is supported through like Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Chrome browser, anything.
Cross browser testing. Remember the word cross browser testing. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we got almost all the answers, and most of you are right why automation testing is important. It saves time, saves a lot of human effort. And if you want to do the multiple iterations of testing, that's where automation testing comes into picture. Most of you are right with your answers, why automation testing is important. So, what can you perceive from this image? What can you perceive from this image? Someone has told me it saves time and effort, and someone has told me like the moment you start implementing automation testing, you can do other activities also. So, are those statements being reflected here, or do you find something else also? We are not criticizing anybody here, guys. The disclaimer is we are not criticizing anybody here. We're just trying to understand why automation testing is gaining importance. So can anyone infer from this image, what do you understand?
Like more stress-free automated versus manual from the image. And also, and also like we see multiple screens here where the same script can work on multiple screens or test like multiple devices or multiple browsers, as we said, like cross-browser, right?
Yeah.
And
Great to know. Great to know. Okay. How about others? How about others, guys? Last one more person. So what I feel about this image is that like during this, during this go live phase, when you do only manual testing, you need to prepare a lot of documents, a lot of test evidences, a lot of reports, a lot of things in a very short span amount of time, which might lead to human errors sometimes. But when it comes to automation testing, when you put automation testing in process along with manual testing, it's just like your life becomes very simpler. You can run multiple tasks at a time, and at the same time, you can focus on something, a lot of creative activities. As a tester, it's our job to be equally creative. So we can spend most of our time on being creative, finding more defects, and we are also paid to break the system, guys. As a QA engineer, we are also paid to break the systems. So let's utilize that superpower and let's try to break the systems. So with the help of automation, all the redundant and monotonous activities will be completed, and you can focus on the creative part of your testing. That is what you should understand from this image. Because as testers, it's not about only finding defects. It's also making yourself creative and finding new ways of testing, new ways of finding more and more issues from the applications. Am I clear so far?
Rahul, I have one query here.
Yes.
Your QA means quality analysis. What is
Oh,
the
quality,
full form of
yeah,
QA?
quality analyst or quality assurance. In some companies, we say QE also. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So, what are the advantages of automation testing? First thing is reliability. As we discussed prior, it precisely performs the same operations each time they are running, thereby eliminating human error. Like suppose if I ask you to do, hey boss, in this application for this account, I want you to make some 10,000 payments for this customer. When we 10,000 customer payments for this customer with the same amount. So as a human, we do it for 100 times, 200 times at max. After that, we'll be fed up of it and we will start making some errors. So in this situation, automation is something that will come in handy in picture, and they precisely perform the same set of operations each time they are running. Repeatability, that means what? Enabling the capability to test how the software reacts under repeated execution. The same scenario, what I said, like if I ask you to make some 10,000 payments for a particular account, so this is a repetitive activity. So when I say this is a repetitive activity, we can also see how the application is behaving under this sort of a repetitive behavior. Got it? We can also observe how the application behaves in a repetitive manner or this repetitive behavior. Comprehensiveness. It provides the ability to build a suite of tests that covers each and every feature of your application. So what do you mean by that? We can build a suite of automation test cases that can cover each and every corner of the application. See, the agenda with automation is we have to cover majority of the features in the application, not about how many tests, how many test cases you have done, that is secondary, that's fine, but it's more about how many features you have covered in the application. Better quality software, ability to run more tests in less time with reduced team size. Highlight this point. This point should be highlighted, tick marked. Remember this point, ability to run more tests in less time with reduced team size. Highlight this point, make this point noted. I'll tell you why. Reusability. That means what? We can rerun the same scripts on different versions of the application. Like if you want to run the automation scripts on the last month release, if you want to run the application same scripts on the last 2 months back release, we can run the same script. Like slight UI changes might be there, but that's fine. We can run the same scripts and check how it's working, whether it's working properly or not. With that, we can also analyze how many user interface, that means how many UI changes have occurred. And automation test cases run significantly faster than a manual process. So it finishes in a flash. Like how many of you watch the Flash web series? I don't know, but it finishes in a flash. That's how fast is the automation testing. Programmability. It brings out the hidden information from the application. Sometimes what happens is when you want to log into the application, there's some login animation happening here. So when that login animation is happening, sometimes it takes 2 seconds, 10 seconds, something like that. Sometimes when I want to enter the username and password, the animation has taken a lot of time to load. But for a manual tester, what we do, we wait till the animation of that page is completed. But for automation testing, it will not wait till the animation is completed, right? It has also some things that it needs to take care of. So what does it do? With the Selenium will throw an exception that it is not found immediately. So what is the conclusion there? Animation is not happening properly. So when I report the same to the developers, this is a real-time experience what has happened to me. When I report the same to the developers, what they have analyzed is there was a issue in the network calling or network protocol management. So they have fixed that issue, and that has made a huge impact in the speed of the application at all times, not only in the login screen. Overall performance of the application has improved a lot because there was some issue in the network protocols and have fixed that issue. Because of that, not only the login page issue got fixed, the whole application speed got improved drastically. The performance of the application improved drastically. And cost reduction, result of reduced team size realized by productivity gains. So why are project managers interested in automation testing? Not because fast, programmable, blah, blah, blah. These are not something. What are the words that every project manager looks for? ability to run more tests in less time and reduce team size. So always remember, from a project management perspective or from an operations perspective, if I can do more activity in less amount of time and reduce team size, ultimately I can show profits from my project. Always a project manager focuses on this. I can run more tests in less time with reduced team size. I hope everyone is clear with this point. Why automation testing is gaining more importance? Not because of technical competency, not because of something like that. All the project managers in the globe would like to leverage this feature. Got it? Would like to leverage this feature, stating that I want to run more test cases in less time so that I can reduce my cost, I can reduce my expenditure. Because there are some companies where project managers treat testing as an overhead activity. Now, the moment you start introducing automation testing, now they feel like, okay, testing team also has some value. Clear? I hope this point is clear for everyone. Any doubts so
Yes,
far?
it is clear.
Great, great to know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what else? What else understanding do we need to know? We have speed. Speed is something we have discussed. Effective test management. Like, suppose, imagine that you're working in a product-based company. I mean, this is just this example. You have written an robust automation script for X project. Now we want to do the same thing for Y project. So instead of doing it from the scratch, I can reuse the same script and same set of test cases to the Y application. So that what happens, you need not write the test cases again from the scratch. We have to make the changes based on the UI. So that is what I'm trying to say here. Enables tests to be traced, updated, and reused in the future, so that we can cover the similar requirements and similar functionalities at ease. Wider test coverage. So as I've told you, when you automate a lot of complex automated test cases along with their executions repeatedly over a period of time, that means what? If you automate all the complex and redundant activities, as a manual tester, we can cover all the border related scenarios, like border related scenarios, or we have a lot of time to become creative, like what more scenarios can we write to ensure the application is delivered properly. Find more defects. You can spend most of your wonderful time on finding defects, creating more scenarios, so that we ensure that when we release the product to UAT or to customer, our agenda is to get less than 20% of the defects. More than 20% of the defects, your application is not proper. Less than 20% of the defects, your application is proper. Because 100% a perfect software is not possible. So that is why we put a buffer of 20% bandwidth. And accuracy. Greater precision and lower errors than manual testing. Like, if I want to run the same test suite again and again, it executes with the same precision and same clarity, and gives and lower error rate. So when I say resource optimization, it's not only about making yourself as a tester creative. So during the development phase of the software applications, what happens? Every night we have to run the smoke tooth. Why? Because development team will release a new build on a regular basis. On a nightly basis, they release a regular build. And as testers, I hope, how many of you are interested to be awake in the midnight, 1 or 2 a.m. and do the smoke testing of your application? How many of you are ready? Raise your hands up. If you're not ready also, you can just say, I'm not ready. How many of you are willing to spend your valuable sleeping time in the night and do the smoke testing? Come on. I hope it's none. None of you guys? You can reply in the chat box if you are unable to unmute and speak. You can reply in the chat box. So the silence, what I get it, I assume that none of you are interested to be awake in the night and do the smoke testing. What is our general answer? Next day morning, we will come and we will do the smoke test. But the development team or the stakeholders are not having that much of a time. What we need to do here, we need to free the resources from this kind of midnight testing activities. So what we need to do here in this situation, what we need to do, we have to put an automation script in picture so that it will keep on running the smoke suit on a nightly basis. As soon as the build is deployed, then immediately the smoke suit automation script will be triggered and it will start executing the test cases. I hope is this clear, everyone? Any doubts? Yeah? All good so far?
Yes.
Great. And I request no one to annotate on the screen, please. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go for the next one. So if you see this graph, this is not a generalized graph. I mean, this is not as anything specific graph. These diagrams are something that are generated based on some generalized assumptions. So if you see here, I'm talking about, see, the things what I'm talking here is that you have to run, you have to execute the test cases, you have to prepare the evidences, you have to put the screenshots properly, and you have to share the same results to the stakeholders or your management. These are the criteria for determining this timestamps. Now, for example, now if you want to run a regression suite of full 1000 test cases, so it will take around 160 man hours. That means if 20 members are sitting dedicatedly on a regression suite for a single day, that means total 160 man hours are required to execute the full regression suite. Whereas when you put a robust automation script in picture, when I have a robust automation script in picture, what will happen here? That will only generate the report, it will only execute the test case, it will only formulate everything for you. So it will take around 16 man hours. That means a time of 2 resources. It will take a time of 2 resources to finish the execution of full regression suite. Similarly, for partial regression, that means if you execute 250 test cases manually, along with the evidences and everything which I want in detail, it will take around 40 man hours. So similarly, automation will take 4 hours. Similarly, the case of sanity and smoke. So what we need to understand is that it's nothing like manual testing is not required or automation testing is only required. That's not the thing. What we need to understand here is automation testing and manual testing go hand in hand. All the redundant activities can be done by automation testing. All the creative activities can be done by manual testing. That is what we need to focus on. That is the balance we need to establish in your company. And before we jump into automation testing after a while, I want to establish 5 different rules that should be followed across your whole automation career. Not only for this course, across your whole automation career. Don't automate a mess. That means what? Since we know automation testing, don't try to create some unnecessary mess, unnecessary logic, unnecessary components or something like that. Have a clarity of what you want to automate. Have a clear understanding of the business of what you want to automate. Second thing, avoid complex logic in your scripts. Whenever you are getting any test case, any business component to automate, make sure that whatever scripting you're doing, it's very easy to read and easy to understand. Not only for you, for also your team members, because they also participate in the automation testing and they also want to reuse your code. So don't have any complex logic or complex structure in your coding. Make sure it's simple, easy to read and understandable. Third thing, even if I say 100% automation is possible, don't believe it, because 100% automation is never possible. Like how 100% defect-free software is possible, 100% automation is also never possible. 100% automation is not possible. Why? Because I'll tell you one thing. Because I cannot automate fingerprints, I cannot automate captchas, I cannot automate this biometrics. I cannot do all that. I cannot scan the checks, something like that. I cannot do all those activities. The max to max you can automate for any application is 80%. Beware of automation engineers who don't understand the basic terminology of testing, like what is agile, what is sprint, what is waterfall model, and all these things. Because as an automation tester, the first step is you need to understand all the testing terminologies. You have to understand what is the test case. You have to understand what is business. Because as a tester, we focus more on the business. So you need to understand the business. Clear? So fifth thing, test automation is not a magic case. Like we just use a Harry Potter wand and you prepare a framework. No, test automation is also software development process. It also takes time like a development, because for a developer, in order to test their code, we are there. But for our framework, for our code, no one is there for us. We have to test it ourselves only. I hope everyone is clear with the 5 different points of automation testing. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any doubts so far?
Do developers also do testing?
See, they do unit testing. They do unit testing using JUnit, Mockito, and all. That's their main criteria. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else? Any doubts, guys, so far?
At what stage we can start automation?
Good question. A very wonderful question you have asked. So the thing is, again, it depends from project to project here when we start automation testing. Why I'm telling you this thing is because the automation testing varies from company to company. Again, what are the requirements? So if the company states like, Rahul, you have to start the automation testing when your grooming session is happening. Like generally, when you are part of any project, during the grooming session only, like if you have any automation framework, they'll be like, okay, now since you have automated your framework in the previous project, why don't you start from along with the development team? Like if the development team releases a code after a sprint, then you need to start automating the same thing after a sprint. You need to parallelly execute the test cases along with the manual testing. This is something they call the parallel testing. There's a concept called as parallel testing some organizations follow. And sometimes what some companies will look at it is, after the application is gone live, that is where you need to start automation testing, because that's where the team size will be ramped down and only automation suits should be running in picture. And there are some companies where they'll be like, you have to automate the test cases at the N-2 sprint. That means after 2 sprints, I'll start automation testing, because manual testing would have completed the testing completely, and we will get to know what are the defects and we can automate the test cases as per the requirement. So these are the 3 different agendas that organization looks at it. Got it? If you ask me the ideal world scenario, after the application is gone live, you have to start automation testing. If you ask me the most ideal way, but that is not being used in the real world. But if you ask me the most ideal way, this is the most ideal way. But if you ask me the most realistic way that is happening in most of the companies, after 2 sprints, they start working on automation. After 2 sprints of testing, after 2 cycles of testing, at the N-2, at the 3rd sprint, like when the QA team is at the 3rd sprint, that is when we start automation testing. But as automation testers, we need to be part of the grooming sessions. We need to be part of all the business understanding sessions. I hope everyone is clear with this point.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope everyone is clear.
Yes, yes, Rahul.
So these are the 5 things you should remember for sure. Not many people will tell you all these points, but this is something you have to remember for sure. If you are forgetting these points, then it will be a very big problem when you want to scale yourself as an automation engineer. So I want all of you to throw some light on this. What do you understand by this graph? What do you understand by this graph? Come on, guys. What do you understand by this graph? It's okay. Wrong answers are still allowed. Come on, go ahead.
How much they can invest the money on the resources?
It's not
manual and automation.
Okay, it's not about investment here. First of all, it's not.
Maybe the time it takes.
Yeah. See, in IT industry, most of us know our billing is generated based on the number of hours we spend. Correct? How many of you agree with me? Based on the number of hours we spend only, that is how we get our billing. Am I right or not?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
So what is happening here? At the initial stage, we feel like, okay, manual testing is costing me very less. So why do I need automation testing? That is what happens in the initial stages of the project. See, my testing team is taking less time to do it. Why do I need automation testing? But gradually, when the application is nearing go live, the number of man hours spent on that project gradually increases. And on top of that, we'll try to get the resources from other projects to ensure that we have a proper go live. Am I right or not? Yes or no? We try to add more and more additional resources from other projects so that the application goes smooth. But in turn, what is happening? We are increasing the man hours a lot. Clear? We are increasing a lot of man hours. I hope this is clear, everyone. Any doubts so far?
No, Rahul.
Yeah.
It's clear. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So always automation may seem costly at the initial stage, but if you see gradually across multiple builds, across different releases, the cost spent on automation is more or less the same. The cost of automation will not change. Got it? So why I'm discussing this point is sometimes when you're working in any organization, like if you're shifting organizations or someone asks you like, why do we need automation? You need to come up with a lot of use cases because I see a lot of people are having 6 years, 7 years, 10 years of experience. So the thing here is it's not only about implementing automation, it's all about why you need automation. Got it? We are discussing about the point why you need automation. For that reason, we are spending a lot of time. Got it?
Yeah.
So for that point only, we are investing a lot of time. So in order for you guys to answer this point, that is why I'm explaining all these points in detail.
Got
Clear?
it.
Sorry?
Yeah, got it.
Got it. Okay. So these are some introduction points about automation testing. This is something I want to give a quick intro. So without this intro also, we can directly jump. Some people might say, but understanding what is automation, understanding the features, understanding the automation from a business perspective, because how you will be different from other resources by understanding the automation as a business friend. If you understand this automation as a business friend, and if you can showcase like by doing these kind of activities, I can save a lot number of hours, I can save a lot of money for the company. If you go with this point, then your profile as a tester will completely look different because you're not only focusing on the application, you're focusing on the business part of the application. You're trying to understand that you have to manage the finances of the project. By managing the by understanding a bit of the finances of the project, that is where your hype relies on. I hope everyone is clear. If everyone is clear, can we go to the next one?
Yeah.
Yes, clear, Rahul.
So since our course is more about Selenium with Java and everyone is curious about what are the different topics that we are covering. So in order to break that curiosity, let's see what are the Java concepts we are covering for automation testing. So first we will be covering the core Java basics. So what is a variable declaration? What is a string functions? What is a string builder? What is a string buffer? What are the conditional statements? What are the different looping statements like while, do, while, for each? Constructors, method declarations, switch, enums. And here you will learn a different versions of switch cases because switch case has been upgraded a lot in Java. So you will learn all the different versions of the switch cases and you'll try to understand what is happening, what are the new changes, because the switch has evolved a lot in Java compared to other programming languages. The switch statement has evolved a lot. Clear? So enums also play a very important role in the programming in Java. Then the most important thing for automation testing, arrays like a 1D array, a 2D array, a 3D array, okay, hash set, list. maps, DQ, a sequence collection. This is something that is new in JDK 21, queues and more. So the more knowledge of arrays and collections you have, the more we can play with the data. See, ultimately, our job is to play around with the data. See, as testers, we more focus on processing of test data and storing of test data. Ultimately, we are doing all these activities. So how do we process it? How do we store it is something we focus a lot with the help of arrays and collections. The use case is that. Why arrays and collections? Because as testers, we focus on test data. We focus on collecting the test data. We focus on processing the test data. Not only test data, application data. So where do we store it? Where do we process it? In order to discuss all these points, we use this arrays and collection. Clear? So inheritance and interfaces. This is also a wonderful concept in OOPS. What are the basics of inheritance? What is the super keyword? Purpose of interface, different types of interfaces, super keyword in constructors, different types of inheritance. We also have different types of interfaces, and we'll also see a top-down approach, bottom-up approach in inheritance. So we'll be seeing all these things here. It's not only about seeing what is inheritance, we'll also be seeing what are the different types of inheritance, how the inheritance concept has emerged, and we'll also be discussing the famous theory called as a diamond problem in inheritance. We'll also be discussing a famous theory called as diamond problem. That is one of the most commonly asked interview question. What is a diamond problem in Java? And we'll be exclusively spending our time on lambda streams and Lombok expressions. So the reason why we are spending most of our time on lambda streams and Lombok expressions, the reason behind it is gone are the days where you will be writing a regular for loop programming for some complex operations where you can write the code with the help of streams in one single line. That is where this lambdas and streams will come into picture. Lombok expression is some set of handy annotations that we use it in a framework. So you'll understand what is this Lombok, what is this lambdas and strings, because we have a dedicated sessions for this to understand why we use lambdas and strings over some regular for loops and all. And file operations. This is something that is most important. How do we write the data to the file, read the data from the file, copying of files, different file functions. We'll also, for this batch, we are introducing a new concept called as object output stream and object input stream. So what is the purpose of this? Let me tell you in general, for the people who understand object. So what we are doing, whatever the object data is there, I'm writing towards a file. Whenever you want to utilize the same object, I can read it from the file. For the people who are confused about what is this object output stream, input stream, just wait till the right time. You will understand all these points. And exception handling is one of the most important thing from a framework perspective, because it helps in handling the runtime errors. That means what? During the execution of the code, if any error occurs or if any issue occurs, how do we handle them? Like using the try catch block, finally block, multiple catch blocks with one try block, ducking the exception, checked versus unchecked exceptions, compile time versus runtime, handling the errors at the runtime. There are two more concepts in exception handling. One is ducking the exception, one is rethrowing the exception. We'll also be discussing all those things here. Then, exclusively, we are planning to start a new concept called as generics. Why we are focusing on these many Java topics? The reason behind it is, in the last 3-4 months, where my friends were working as QA engineers, especially in banking domain, they are ramping down the testers and they're all asking them to convert into a level, junior developer role or junior developer or some junior developer with DevOps role. The reason behind it is, now some companies, what they're doing is they want everyone to have a knowledge of a developer. So when the people who are learning the subject here, I want everyone of them to have a knowledge like a developer. The Java knowledge, whatever we are discussing here, they have to have a knowledge like a developer. The core Java knowledge, what we are having, it should be like a developer, not like a pure automation tester. So we'll be discussing generics and also this records, optionals, seal, inheritance and interfaces. And also we'll be providing a lot of programming questions for you to practice at a topic-wise level. I hope this is clear for everyone. What are the topics of Java we are covering?
Yes, Rahul. Thank you.
Because I believe no one will teach you generics, lambda streams, records, optionals in a normal Java class. But we need all this. It enhances and improves our framework design a lot. And having this knowledge will help you grow as a developer also, not only as an automation engineer. If you want to go for SDET also, that will help you grow. Okay, great. So let's see what are the different points we are covering in Selenium. Okay, so what are the different things we are covering up in Selenium? So what are the basic concepts of Selenium? So we'll understand what is Maven. What is a Maven project? Why Maven project? What are the advantages of Maven? How do we add dependencies to the Maven project? What is Maven profiling? How do we trigger the test cases through Maven? What is the concept of a property file? We'll be understanding all these concepts here. Okay. Then we'll discuss about the Selenium architecture. What is the Selenium 3 architecture? What is the Selenium 4 architecture? Because for any automation tool that you're picking up, not only Selenium, you have to understand the tool architecture. If you understand the tool architecture only, then you'll be in a position to understand how do you need to start automating, your test cases. Based on the architecture only, you'll understand the tool better, and based on that understanding, you can do the activities more better. Clear? Then we'll be seeing how do we launch the apps via different browsers, like via Chrome, via Firefox, via Edge, via Safari. You will see how do we launch multiple applications. Clear? Any doubts?
Yeah, yes, clear. One doubt actually.
Yes.
Like there are already like multiple languages I see that Selenium supports. Like why?
Yes,
What
yes.
is the best option? We select Java. Like
See,
why we are?
I'll tell you one thing that we got from official developer of Selenium. What they say is that I have multiple language bindings. Selenium WebDriver, what they say about Selenium WebDriver is I have multiple language bindings which has different implementations for controlling the browser. So amongst all that, why we say Java is the best? Because Java is the most popularly used programming language for web application development. Compared to Python, compared to Node.js or something like that, Java is something that is used for web application development. Okay. So that's the reason why Java is the most preferred language. The same Java, we can use it for automation testing because Java is the programming language that has a huge collection of libraries. Huge collection of libraries. And second thing is that it's not, I mean, anyone can develop a library and anyone can push it to a Maven repository, and there are a lot of dependencies you can add. Got it? I hope I've answered.
Yeah, got it. Rahul, thank you.
Huge collection of libraries. Of
Hi,
course,
Rahul.
Python is, yeah, tell me.
Yeah. What all are the languages we will use for automation?
Here only we are using Java. This course, whatever we have discussed here, this is
Okay.
Selenium with Java only.
Okay. Other than Java, what else we can use?
We can
Like
use Python, we can use C#, we can use Ruby. In fact, Ruby was the first language that was used with Selenium. We can use JavaScript, all this stuff. But if you see the market openings, 80% are there for Selenium. Remaining 20% are there for Python, C# and all.
Okay, thank you.
And one more thing with Java, every 6 months we are getting a new release of Java. The target is every 6 months we get. So that means the Java is constantly evolving. So if a programming language is constantly evolving, obviously my focus will be on that.
నువ్వేం ఫోన్ చేయదు రెడీ అయ్యా తర్వాత ఫోన్ చేసినా వాళ్ళు ఆల్రెడీ వచ్చేసుకుంటూ ఉంటుంది
If you excuse me.
లేదా కన్ఫర్మ్ చేసుకుంటే
Okay, thanks. So we will be seeing how do we create a new tab, how do we create a new window, how do we launch multiple windows and tabs, how do we switch between windows and tabs, how do we launch tabs via JavaScript commands. A bit of JavaScript is needed for Selenium, but don't worry, I'll be there to cover all the basics of JavaScript if you don't know. So we can see the different types of locators, how to find the locators by ID, name, class name, link text, partial link text, tag name, XPath and CSS selector are most important. That is why I've highlighted in red color. And in the latest version of Selenium, the relative locator concept has been upgraded slightly. So we'll be discussing all the new relative locators concepts, to above, straight above, to below, straight below. And this relative locators will help you do some UI testing also. How it helps you do the UI testing, I'll let you know. But once you see the relative locators, you'll definitely fall in love with the relative locators, because that will also solve all your UI related issues also. Not all, but some of the UI related issues can be resolved, can be detected.
Rahul, what is the meaning of UI testing? Full form?
Which one?
UI testing, you are using
User
the word
interface
UI
testing. User in UI testing means like you have an application in your front of your eyes. So we navigate across applications, we check whether the data is coming or not. That is called as UI testing. And also there is one more thing about UI testing. So the UI testing will be like, suppose the button should be placed at the left hand side, the button should be placed on the right hand side, the text box should be present after the label, before the label. All these things we can have a look at it. I hope I'm clear with the answer, Monica. Whosoever asked the question, I hope I'm clear.
Yes, Rahul.
So we'll be seeing different Selenium actions like click, send keys backward, select, finding multiple web elements, get DOM property versus get DOM attribute, is displayed, is hidden, clear, get CSS value and clear, get tag name, get area role, and handling web tables. Okay. And we will also be seeing what are the different kinds of weights: implicit weight, explicit weight, fluent weight, and we can also write our own custom weight commands. Okay. We can also see the actions class like click, double click, send keys, context click, move to element, click and hold, drag and drop, and different key operations. And we'll also be seeing a different JavaScript functions like highlight elements, scroll pages, scroll to view, generate alerts, refresh page, send keys, click action. All these things we can cover. Okay. So then we'll be seeing how do we capture browser screenshot, how do we capture a particular element screenshot, like a particular button only, particular text box, or particular radio button screenshot. If I want, how can I do it? Then how do we capture the screenshot using a shot? That's one library. And if possible, we'll see how do we do a video recording. Got it? We'll also see how do we do a video recording of executions. Clear? I hope this is clear, everyone, so far. Then we will see the different ways of switching between frames by ID, by name, by element. We can see all these things. Got it?
Yeah, got it.
So what are the other points? How there is a concept called as shadow frames. We'll understand shadow frames. How do we upload and download files? What are the different Chrome options, Firefox options, Edge options, the desired capabilities? How do we kill existing browsers via command line? How do we handle browser related pop-ups? Browser related pop-ups means you will say, do you want to reload this page? There'll be a browser alert pop-ups coming like, do you want to reload this page? Do you want to accept this thing? You get all this kind of pop-ups, right? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys?
Yes, we get.
Yeah, those kind of pop-ups. And browser authentication, like, and you will be getting a browser alert pop-up and you have to put the username and password. So all this kind of things will take care of. Okay. So we'll be discussing a lot of Selenium functions that are used on a regular basis. Is this clear, everyone? What are the different Selenium topics we're covering? Any doubts you have anywhere?
No doubts on the topics.
Yeah, Rahul.
Yes.
How many days we are focusing on Java basics?
We are spending around 2 months of time, but mostly it will be exactly 2 months or more than 2 months, because we have to cover a lot of topics and we have to be competent with the latest industry trends. That is why we are putting more emphasis on a lot of topics.
What will be the duration per day?
Like ideally, it will be 2 months if there are no testing.
Per day, how many hours it will be?
Per day, it will be a single hour, 1 hour. But we will also extend the session for a while because it's a morning session and we can still extend a bit, and we can also spend time on your doubts clarification. Or if you want some assistance in any concept, we can spend some time after the session also. It's a morning session, so definitely we can spend a lot of time. And if possible, if we feel like the concept is pretty interesting and we can stretch a bit, I can stretch a bit. I can stretch the session for extra 10-15 minutes, and post that we can sit and clarify your doubts. Clear?
Yeah. And is there any weekend session? Like
weekend, see, weekend personally I won't take. The reason behind it is weekend is the only time I get to spend with my family. Weekend I'll be busy with my. So that's the reason I generally don't take weekend sessions. But you see, I am telling you on my personal note, even for the learnings also, even for when I was learning automation also, I spent my maximum time on weekdays rather than weekends. Weekends was something I kept it for family only.
Yes, Rahul.
It sounds good, Rahul.
Because 5 days of my week, I'll not even worry about what is happening in my home. The last Saturday, Sunday is the time I'll be like, okay, I'll take the latest updates, what happened in my home.
Yeah, the course duration is 2 months. Out of this course duration, Java basics course
It'll take around 20 days. 20 days.
Okay. And one more doubt. So we are having competitors for Selenium is Playwright also. So
I'll tell you. See, I'll tell you why Selenium is still leading. The moment Selenium 5 will come in the market, fingers crossed, if Selenium 5 comes during our course time, you will see Selenium 5 hitting hard against Playwright. Selenium 5 is yet to come. It will come either in June or November. I'm not so sure. I have to check the milestone of Selenium 5. But if it comes, it will be big time. It will be a very big dent to Playwright. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Yeah, Rahul, I have a couple of questions. So the first one is like, will we do a project, a comprehensive project, which covers, all the topics that we learned during our.
That is what I'm discussing. You just give me some time. I'll finish the slide. By this, you will understand what is a comprehensive project coverage. You'll get it.
Okay, sure. Then I'll keep my questions to the last then. Thank you.
Also, Rahul, like we have seen the term like Cucumber. So it's a part of automation testing, Cucumber framework.
Yes, that's Cucumber framework. See, BDD framework is BDD framework and TDD framework you have to use. Cucumber framework is not something. Cucumber is a library, first of all. TestNG and Cucumber are your libraries. They're not your part of frameworks. So BDD framework, we should say, not a Cucumber framework. And we are covering as part of the course. Just hold on. Hold your doubts for next 5 minutes. I'll clarify all the things with TestNG to Cucumber. Okay. So, what are the topics we cover in TestNG? Writing test cases, annotations, dependency between methods, parameterization, TestNG attributes, soft and hard assertions, event pairing decorators, parallel testing, grouping of test cases. And we will also be seeing data providers. Like how do we pass the test data to the test cases? By hard-coded manner, Excel, CSV, JSON, you'll see all these things. And listeners is something like when you're performing some activity, like suppose I'm teaching you, listening. Similarly, whenever we perform some activity on the browser, someone should listen and make a note of it, right? So that is where, so like that, we have a different listeners in TestNG. So we'll try to understand what are the different listeners in TestNG. We will see what kind of activities we can do it. Clear? Now we'll be discussing about Cucumber, like how do we create a new feature file, scenario outline, data tables, preparing the scenario based on attacks, parallel testing, Pico container, Cucumber annotations, background, hook class, step definition. And we can also see how do we combine Cucumber with JUnit. And we will also see how do we combine Cucumber with TestNG. And also why Cucumber has become popular, I'll tell you. See, most of our clients, where are they from? They are either from Europe region or US region, correct? Tell me if you agree. Whatever projects we get, they are from Europe region or US region, America region. Yeah. And trust me, guys, English is not a popularly spoken language. In India or in Asian countries, English is quite popularly spoken. But most of the countries speak French, Spanish, or something like that. The beautiful thing with Cucumber is we can write the steps in Spanish, in French, in Russian. We can write the feature files in such a way that they can understand. I will showcase you when we discuss Cucumber that we can write our test cases in multiple languages. Okay. When I say multiple languages, multiple speaking languages. So we'll be covering in depth about API testing. So I have not updated this part of the slide, but we'll be covering the rest assured concept like JSON basics via JSON simple and Jackson library, query parameters, form parameters, path parameters. We'll be using Hamcrest validations, basics and digest authentication, and we'll also plan to cover OAuth2 authentication here. So this API testing part, just give me some time because this is not the updated one. I will show you the updated slides for API testing. So what are the different points we covered? Adding POI libraries, dependencies, writing data to the file, updating data, reading data, cell styles, using the Excel's operations for data provider. Then we'll be discussing about properties file, how do we add Apache Commons library, reading the values, writing the values to the file, maintaining, how do we create a master slave mechanism using the properties file, how do we use this properties file in a real time, and how do we use extent reports in the latest version of extent. Of course, we all know that extent reports is sunset, and we also have a new tool coming called as chain test reports. The thing with chain test reports is still under development and there are some issues. But by the time when we start this reporting part, if chain test is somewhat stable, we will switch to chain test. Also, I'll show you extent reports. That's not a problem, but I'll show you extent reports and chain test, both the reports, so that you'll understand what are the different changes that the person has made. In fact, the developer for extent reports and chain test report is the same person, Anshu Alarara. And we'll also be seeing some earlier reports via TestNG and via Cucumber. Via Cucumber, it is outdated. Basically, we use earlier reports with TestNG. Via Cucumber, it's outdated. And we will also see some different types of framework like data-driven, keyword-driven, hybrid, linear, modular, PDD approach. Okay. Keyword-driven is somewhat outdated. Not most of the organizations use, but still, I have a template where I can show you how a keyword-driven works. I'll show you a template, how the design is made, and you can understand. Keyword is something not they use it majorly, but still, for the information sake, I can showcase you what are the different frameworks. In the class, we'll be discussing data-driven, linear, PDD, modular. We'll be discussing all this hybrid also. But keyword driven is something I will spend a class on helping you understand what is a keyword driven, but I'll not focus much on that because it's not used much in the real time. Any doubts so far? After this, any doubts so far? API testing, let me give you a heads up that we'll be covering the complete Postman tool, the complete rest assured concepts, along with the CI/CD tools like Jenkins and Docker. Okay. As of now, I didn't update that API testing part here. I have a separate slides for API testing. I'll showcase those separate slides. But first of all, everyone is clear with the concepts of all your queries are clarified.
Yes, Rahul. I have a question regarding the keyword-driven testing, right? Are we referring to the one of the automation framework is the robot automation framework here?
No, robot automation framework is something we don't use at all, like especially with Selenium. So robot framework is also part of keyword-driven framework only, if you ask me.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So it is a keyword-driven framework, right?
Yeah, it's a keyword-driven framework, but that's something that we don't. It's not a scalable thing.
Okay. Yeah, the
Robot
reason I'm
framework
asking
is not a scalable thing. Even if your organization is using, slowly they will also migrate to a normal coding-based framework.
Okay. So because like, we just started using the robot framework, right? We have some tool, a third-party tool, which uses robot automation framework. So where most of the time we use the Selenium library there, like the keywords. Like my interest is like most towards the robot automation framework.
The thing here is robot automation framework is not scalable. It is useful for only happy flows because a few of my friends, they're working in other organization, the same thing we have recommended, and that is a thing they have analyzed also. You're in the starting phase, you will not understand what I'm discussing sometimes, but robot framework is never scalable. Never scalable because you have to go with a keyword driven framework, and robot framework better keyword-driven framework, I'll tell you. There's a framework called as Craft, which is developed by Cognizant. So initially, the framework design was so bad that they have scrapped everything and they have introduced some data-driven features in the old framework so as to make this framework scalable. Robot is not never your scalable approach. It's easy. I mean, I also don't prefer it.
Yeah, it is the decision that is taken by the organization, right? So
your organization will shift that decision after 1 year. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe like we can have this question to the last because this is of my personal interest, right? Not to the group. Yeah, we can discuss at the end.
Fine. Only, I mean, I'll give you a heads up about how a keyword-driven framework works from the root. So that will be like a leading path towards your robot framework. Okay.
Yeah. We will discuss at the end. I will ask this question at the end again.
Any doubts so far, guys?
Do we also cover some basic database testing?
Database testing, I'm not covering. I'll give you the database fundamentals, like how do you use SSMS or MySQL? How do you integrate your database with Java, JDBC concepts, and how do we store the results in the database? Because database testing requires some query. You need to have a knowledge about all different kinds of queries. You need to have a knowledge about functions, procedures. You have to write all these things. So database testing is like, what do you mean by database testing? We have to check how fast the query is being fetched from the database, on which columns the indexing happened, right? On the index columns only we do database testing. On the non-index columns, obviously the performance will take a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
So all these things, it's easy to teach theoretically, but practically I need to have those many amount of data. But what you can learn is the skill set, the basic skill set required for you to do some DB testing, like select query, update, joins, what are the different types of joins, how do you create your own databases. All these things are very much essential. And if time permits, if you are interested, then I'll go for views with all these things. I'll go ahead. Okay. So what is Git? We'll be discussing a lot about Git. What is Git and what is the purpose of Git? Difference between Git and GitHub. Different tools that support Git apart from GitHub. We'll be discussing a lot of Git commands, guys. A lot of Git commands we'll be discussing here. And we'll also be discussing about the Git PR, Git reset, Git hard. And suppose if sometimes you forgot or any Git command, with the help of the IntelliJ also, it has a GUI, like it has a graph. If you forget the Git commands, there only you have some options that you want to push the code, you want to make some changes to the code, we can discuss that. Clear? Git is one of the most important concepts. So we will discuss SSMS and MySQL, guys, because MySQL is something that works both in Windows and Mac, but whereas SSMS works only in Windows. So I'll show you both the installations, how to do it, and we'll be discussing the different CRUD operations. How do we create the data? How do we update the data? How do we delete the data? How do we read the data? We'll be discussing all these things. Clear? And we'll be seeing a different SQL commands from DDL. So whenever you're going for any DB testing interview, the main question that they ask here is, what is DDL? What is DML? What is DCL? What is DQL? They won't ask the questions directly. They'll ask you the questions like this and they'll ask you to explain. Clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah. So we'll also be covering something about Jenkins, like what is CI, what is CD, how do we build pipelines, what is CI/CD. So it's a self-explanatory. You can understand what is CI. So CI means what? Developers frequently integrate their code into a shared repository. Automated tests run on each integration to ensure the code quality. CD means what? CD automates the release process, ensures that the code changes are deployed to production. Clear? Whatever code changes you have made, they ensure that they are deployed to production at all the times. Clear? Is this clear? Any doubts so far?
No.
Okay.
So regarding the Jenkins, Rahul, like we'll be doing a hands-on on Jenkins, right? Like,
well, you will be seeing me creating a pipeline. How do we trigger the pipeline? How do we schedule the pipeline? How do we parameterize the pipeline? You'll be seeing all those things.
Okay, all right.
But more frankly speaking, you'll never be a part of the pipeline setup. Only thing you will be given as a tester is you'll have to run the pipeline by yourself. Only you need to click on the run button. But what different you'll learn here is you'll understand how do we trigger the mails, how do we set up the whole thing right from the scratch. You'll understand that part here. So that whenever you go for any other organization as the SDT, it will be helpful for you.
Okay.
So if time permits, I'm also planning to cover a bit of AWS with Jenkins so that it will give an additional dimension to your learning curve. AWS with Jenkins, that is what I'm planning to cover. So I'll just check what are the different permutations and combinations, and I'll also try to cover AWS with Jenkins. So it will be useful for you. Clear? Any doubts so far? Any word? So we'll also cover Docker. That is, anyways, we are covering Selenium Grid also. I forgot to inform you that we'll be covering Selenium Grid with Docker. And there also we'll understand the Docker concept, fundamentals of Docker concepts. And we'll also cover the JDBC concepts. Because for different databases, we have to connect to the database in a different manner. So we will focus more on SSMS and MySQL so that is where the industry is revolving around. And the bonus topic that we'll be going to discuss is MongoDB. That is a zero coding database. And MongoDB is majorly used in Swiggy, Zomato, Dream11, PhonePe, Facebook, Instagram. There they have used. Because I'll tell you that when we come to the database concepts, I'll give you a quite insight about what is DBMS, what is RDBMS, what is no relational database. You'll understand all these things because these days, frankly speaking, that everyone in the industry, they're not treating us like testers. They're treating us like some full stack software engineers only. How many of you agree with me on this point? Every one of us are not treating only as testers. They're treating us like full stack software engineers. That means we should only know development. We should only know testing. We should only know everything, right? Yes or no?
Yeah, now they started asking DevOps also.
Yeah. So in order to keep up with the current pace of the requirement, that is why I've introduced a lot of new topics. In order to keep up with the current pace of the requirement, because again, after 3 months you come, again the requirements change, again I have to put new things, or again I have to remove some old points. So that's the thing. Even as a mentor, don't say as a trainer, as a mentor also, I have to keep on evolving with my topics. I have to come up with a new changes, new ideologies, new methodologies, what they follow. So this is something that we keep on evolving. So any doubts so far, guys? Any doubts?
Yeah, Rahul, will you provide the course related artifacts?
Sorry?
The course content artifacts, notes.
It's there on the link, like in the group when you have joined. If you go to the description, there's a link. If you click on the link, you'll be getting all the course details, the course plan and everything. Is it possible to take 2 sessions in a day? Sumati, I couldn't get your point. If you can unmute and answer, that would be great.
No, like what I was asking is like 2 sessions in a day, like 2 hours, like morning or evening. So if it's
That
possible,
is something, I mean, it's not that possible, but what we can do is we can stretch the regular sessions to a 15 minutes or 20 minutes extra. So that is more than enough, because if I start taking 2 hours a day now, like imagine if I start taking 2 hours a day, it'll be too much content for you to process and practice also.
Okay.
So it's recommended to have a session of 1 to 1.5 hours and followed by practice. It's not about me teaching, it's all about you practicing the concepts, practicing the things with different questions, different examples.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. And one more thing, guys, every alternate Saturday, we have a DSA for tester session. Every alternate Saturday in the night time, we have a DSA sessions. Like we'll be understanding some basic sorting algorithms, searching algorithms, and we'll try to understand what are the different things that you need to understand as a coding perspective. This only for testers, not at a developer level, at a tester level. Different sorting and searching algorithms we are starting with. So if you are interested, you can join on every alternate Saturday. Okay.
So Rahul, this is Shiva again. So back to my basic question. Mostly like, we test or we automate a Salesforce application and web application, right? Both are like, web-based applications. So do this course, but we use the robot automation framework to automate this. Does this course help me in mastering robot automation? I know,
robot is one of the very least complicated framework. There are more difficult frameworks like hybrid. See, the moment you go through the whole course, you'll understand that there are better frameworks than robot. But once you realize how keyword driven works, and once you see how a data driven works, once you see a hybrid and BDD framework work, you will only come to a decision, Shiva. I need not say anything.
No, that is true. But I'm it is currently being used in my company, right? So
I understand your thing. Coming to the point, if you know keyword driven framework, you can easily implement the same in robot framework. The only thing is slightly here and there, the properties file, the things will keep on changing. Only thing. Apart from that, nothing else. But for you, I will try to take one topic outside the class, because I strictly discourage robot framework, because if you see out of 100 companies, hardly 1 or 2 companies pick robot framework. So that is the reason I don't spend much of my energy on robot framework.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
But if you know keyword driven framework, the same thing can be applied there.
Right. Okay. And also we get everyday recording of these sessions.
Yes, everyday recordings, everyday code access, everything will be provided.
Okay.
Hello, Rahul. What will be the cost of this course?
For all the other details, I'll be sharing Kumar sir number. You can have a word with him. I'm only from the course front. I'm there. For any logistic details you have, I'll share you Kumar sir number. You can have a word with him.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, post this course, if we have any queries and all,
you can always contact me.
Okay, do we have any separate group, kind of WhatsApp group, or how can we reach?
You will get it soon. You'll get it soon. Once the enrollments are done, you will get a separate WhatsApp group.
Okay. Thank you.
So if you want to still get in touch base with me, if you've seen the group description, my number is there.
Yeah, sure.
Rahul, in IST, at what time you will be free to contact you?
We are from which time zone?
From Abu Dhabi. I was 1.5 hours back of you.
Yeah, you can call me anytime. If I'm in a meeting by any chance, I'll let you know, because you're backward, right? By 1.5 hours, it's okay.
Yeah. What is the contact number that I can call you?
In the group description, you can check. In the group description, you'll have like the trainer info details there. You can just have a look at it. Okay, for any technical.
So Rahul, the session timing will be 7 to 8, is it? In the morning every day?
Yeah, it's morning every day.
Do you also take sessions in any other timings, like around
I
11
take
or
sessions,
after?
but they are in the middle. I take sessions in other timings, but they are in the middle of the course. Like one is in the Cucumber, one is in the Selenium, one is in the midst of Selenium. So that's the thing.
Okay, so do you have any upcoming sessions like in
For
future?
evening, it will take some time. But you can get in touch with the team. Once my evening slots are free, the team will get in touch with you. But frankly speaking, morning time is the best time to learn. If you are from a different.
No, actually for me it is not feasible since I'm a housewife, so I'm looking for a different
Fine,
timing.
I understand. Just have a word with team. They will help you out.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Rahul, can you text your contact number in the group chat?
Wait. Yeah, I've shared the number. Okay. In the Zoom chat, I've shared the number. Okay.
So, Rahul, regarding the coding, so we means personally me, so I never come across
Don't worry
any
about
coding.
that.
So
Will
we
be
are going from scratch to advanced, like.
absolute scratch from right from tool installations. I'll show you how to install tools. I'll do the tools installation right in front of you, like from project creation, from every file, everything you'll be seeing live in front of your screen.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. Everything is absolute scratch. You just come with a clear head with the intention to learn stuff and come up with more doubts. More doubts means I love clarifying most of your doubts.
Correct. Yeah.
And second thing is come up with more doubts. I don't mind answering in how many number of doubts you have. Anything else that I need to answer? Clear?
Yeah, all clear for me. Yeah. Thank you. So from tomorrow we are going to start the sessions, correct?
Yes, yes. Tomorrow onwards we are starting the regular sessions. That's from tools installation.
Okay.
Clear? Great. Great then. So we'll catch up tomorrow at the same time, 7 a.m. and we'll start understanding the installation of tools. So tomorrow we'll discuss about what tools are we using across this whole course.
Okay. Thanks, Rahul, for your time. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Rahul.
Thank you, Rahul.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you. Thank you guys. See you. Bye-bye.